Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seahawks Recap Show with your host Ryan Koki, and welcome back to another Seahawks off-season video. And today is the day. It is the first preseason game for the Seahawks for the 2024-2025 NFL season. And I'm here today to just talk about my 2024-2025 Seahawks season predictions. Like I did last year for the 2023 season, I'm going to do it here again for you guys. But before we get into that, if you like this video, please consider giving it a like. It helps me know if I'm doing a good job with these videos or not. And if you would like to stick around and watch any more future content from this channel, please consider subscribing. That would be greatly appreciated because you won't want to miss out on any other future content from this channel. But let's get into the video before I ramble on a little too much and discuss my predictions for the 2024-2025 season for your Seattle Seahawks. Let's start off first by reviewing my 2023-2024 season predictions. And honestly, my predictions weren't far off. It was just a lot of messed up things happened this season. You know, the offense wasn't there, defense was more sloppy than it usually is, and it was just a difficult season overall, but got the right record, 9-8. We finished 9-8. I wanted second in the NFC West. We had third. The Rams beat the Seahawks out 10-7. So that was a little bit of a shocker. And then you have the offensive ranking. I wanted ninth because coming into the 2023 season, Seahawks looked great in 2022. And I was like, oh, they just got better. They're coming off of a season where they had just gotten better in the draft. They had gotten a bunch of different guys. They had gotten Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I was like, oh, that's another dynamic weapon that the Seahawks could use. And that just wasn't the case. The offense was pretty poor from the start. And also the defensive ranking. This was another thing where I was looking at it, wanted them to be 15th. They've always had a problem with defense. The Seahawks have always had a problem with defense. I just wanted the middle of the pack kind of, you know, being better than they were, and they weren't. They had a ton of injuries last season, and injuries do happen, but you need to step up. And I hope that this year's Seahawks team for 2024-2025 can make that jump. And my breakout player that year was Kenneth Walker last season. He was coming off a pretty darn good season in 2022, and I wanted him to continue that. I really did. It was something that I was looking at Kenneth Walker thinking, we've made improvements to the offensive line. The offensive line looked half decent in 2022. So I was thinking they were going to build off that, and it just wasn't the case. Injuries to the offensive line and things hampered his production. And my hot seat player, of course, was safety Jamal Adams. And this is one that I got right. He had only played like 25 games in his entire Seattle Seahawks career up to that point, heading into the 2023 season, and he was being paid a lot more than I would have liked for a guy that only played like 25 games in the past three seasons. So when we get to the actual 2023-2024 season stats, again, 9-8 record, third in the NFC West, just getting beaten out by the LA Rams, who went 10-7. And the offensive ranking, let's talk about that. 21st. Yeah, not the ninth I was expecting. It was pretty bad. The offense was not clicking. Shane Waldron lost his job because of this offense. And it just wasn't great. It wasn't what I was expecting from the Seahawks offense that had gotten better on paper, had gotten one of the best receivers in the draft, had taken the first receiver off the board in the 2023 draft, and that was Jackson Smith and Jigba at 20th overall. And he was great in college, so I was expecting him to do big things. And yeah, we ended up with the 21st ranking in offense. So Shane Waldron loses his job because of the job he did last season. And we get to the defensive ranking, and it was 30th. Yeah, I don't know what to say. If any of you guys would like to go see my reaction to every single Seahawks game last season, I would highly recommend watching those, because in those videos, when I watched every single Seahawks game, I just didn't know what to say about the defense. On it, like it was honestly really bad. The defense couldn't tackle. That was one of the biggest things. They looked lackadaisical. They had a bunch of injuries. And Cheno and Wosu went down, which was one of our biggest pass rushers that we had to then bring in Leonard Williams at the trade deadline so that we could at least get some semblance of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And it just really wasn't a great season for the defense. And my breakup player was Kenneth Walker. His 2023 season campaign looked like this: 15 games played, 219 attempts, 905 yards, eight rushing touchdowns, had 29 receptions for 259 yards and one touchdown. So it wasn't too far off of my expectations from what I predicted him to be, but it still wasn't great. He saw Kenneth Walker suffered an oblique strain last year, taking him out 2 games, and his receiving numbers improved, but it was just not a great year, considering for the offense. Kenneth Walker tried all he could, but he can only do so much. He's only one guy on that offense. But my hot seat player was correct. Jamal Adams. He only played 9 games this year. He was in and out of the lineup with injury. He had 34 solo tackles, 14 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, and 0 forced fumbles. And that was the final straw for management, as he was released this offseason. He is now a Tennessee Titan. And although Jamal Adams didn't work out in Seattle, I will say this. I wish him nothing but the best in a Titans uniform, because honestly, he was really good for the Jets, and it never really worked out in Seattle because he was injured all the time. His last couple of years here were just brutal with injuries, and when he was on the field, he had some issues with effort when it came to last season. My 2024-2025 season predictions: I'm going with a record of 10-7, and I'm going with second in the NFC West. I think that this team has gotten good on paper. It's gotten better from last year, and I'm hoping that last year was just a fluke. I know that the Seahawks have an entirely new coaching staff, which could really make this prediction look like it's going to be awful, because you never know. New coaching staff, everything can be different. Everything can go well, or everything can just tumble down and then snowball into something that is not great. But with the roster that is constructed by John Schneider, we have Connor Williams, who's probably going to be the starting center for us. We have Laken Tomlinson. We have Charles Cross still. We have Anthony Bradford, who's now got another year of experience under his belt. We've got a lot of guys on this offensive line that will help protect Geno Smith. You've got Jackson Smith and Jigba now with a hopefully an offensive coordinator that'll use him and utilize him to one of his fullest potentials, and not have him run screens all the time on third downs. This team needed a head coaching adjustment so bad, and I think that Mike McDonald will be helpful with that. I think this is a good time to be a Seahawks fan. I think this season we're gonna get second in the NFC West. I still think that the 49ers are going to win this division just because they're so good, even with their team having the amount of issues it's had with people getting moved and everything and losing a little bit of its star power. It's still a really good team, but I think the Seahawks will challenge for first in the NFC West, but I think they'll ultimately get second with the 10-7 record. For the offensive ranking, I picked 11th. And I know that's going to be really high to some of people watching this, but honestly, I don't really care. I know Ryan Grubbs is a new offensive coordinator. He's coming from college and he's coming from the Washington Huskies. And I know that college to NFL play can be a really big step, but considering who they have on this coaching staff and considering the personnel that they have on the field, I don't think that Ryan Grubbs is going to have a really, really difficult time trying to adjust because I think the players on this offense will help him out tremendously and try to bail him out of some situations if he makes mistakes. There are people on this team that they are just looking to get the ball to. Ryan Grubb has always been known, from what I've heard, he's been a guy that's always been known to get the ball to his best players. You got Kenneth Walker on this team, you got DK Metcalf on this team, you've still got Tyler Lockett on this team, and you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I think will have a phenomenal year if he is used right. I think he's going to be the second wide receiver. I think Tyler Lockett's going to take the slot role this season. I just want to see this team do well, and I think they will do well, barring any like significant injuries and things like that. Moving on to the defense, I've still put it at 15th, and the reason why is because honestly, I want them to be I want them to be better than last year. Please fix your tackling issues, fix the effort level, just make those plays. This was a fluke defense last year. I do not believe that this amalgamation of talent is the 21st best defense in the league. I think they're better than that, and they know they're better than that. So I want to see with Uchenna Nwosu coming back, I want to see Boye Mafe step up a little more when he can. And there's a bunch of things on this defense that I really like. The corners are getting help now with Pritchett being added and DJ James being added, two Auburn corners that know each other. I think they might get some playing time and things like that. So that'll be a lot of fun. Leonard Williams getting a full season of him will be excellent. He was in his 10 games here. He was great for the Seahawks last season. And, Dermont Jones, not to mention the linebackers like Jerome Baker and things like that. I know there was a hit to that linebacking room, complete and utter switch up from everybody that was there last year. But also, Mike McDonald will play a huge hand in this defense getting better. Remember the Ravens team last year? That defense was insane, and I'm hoping that rubs off on the Seahawks this year. I'm not expecting them to be the best in the league. All I want them to do is be middle of the pack of these teams and, not be on the field most of the games this year and be able to try and help stuff some of the biggest problems on this team last year, which was the run defense. The run defense was awful, and the passing defense was where it really fell down. So, honestly, with Mike McDonald at the helm and him calling the defensive plays for this defense this year, I hope that this Seahawks team can show what they're really made of and kind of write 2023 and 2024 off as a fluke. Let's get to my breakout player, and it's going to be Jackson Smith and Jigba coming off a 63 reception, 628 yard, and 4 touchdown rookie season. Yeah, no, I think this guy has a lot more that he can show the Seahawks. And I totally believe in this guy. I think when you look at what he did on the field last year, he had some miraculous plays. One that comes to mind is always going to be that Eagles final drive in, I believe it was week 15, where Drew Lock just threw it up to Jackson Smith and Jackson Smith and Jigba just caught it and just was like, all right, yeah, that's what I do now. That's the kind of player that I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be, and he's going to be a real big target for Geno Smith, along with DK Metcalf, but I'm giving it to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I really think he's got a lot more to show, and if Ryan Grubbs is able to target his best players, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be one special player this year. And finally, my hot seat player, and this was really tough for me to try to decide who was going to be a hot seat player, but I took right tackle Abraham Lucas. And the reason is he was having a lot of issues last season. He hit the injury bug hard, only playing 6 games last season due to a knee injury that he got surgery on this off season. And my question to him is, can he stay healthy? That was one of the biggest things. Jason Peters, you might know that name. And that's because Jason Peters was on the field for a majority of the season because Abraham Lucas was injured. Abraham Lucas couldn't get on the field because of his knee issues. And it really sucks because when you look at when Abraham Lucas was drafted by the Seahawks back in 2022, he and Charles Cross had immaculate rookie seasons. And seeing how he played last year, it just wasn't the same. And I hope he can get back to kind of his rookie season form with this knee surgery and things like that, because I really think that Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas can be the future of the tackle position for Seattle for a very long time. I just want Abraham Lucas to stay healthy because if he can, this offense should fare a whole of a heck of a lot better than they did last year. So he's my hot seat player because if he is not healthy, if he ends up not being healthy and he gets injured again, then the Seahawks are going to need to look at John Schneider and go, okay, what do we do? What do we do with Abraham Lucas? Do we release him? Do we trade him? What do we do with him? Because that could be a problem. People have been saying from multiple sources that it could be a chronic knee issue, but according to Mike McDonald and the Seahawks organization, Abraham Lucas should be ready for week 1 of the regular season. I don't know if he'll play in the preseason. I think he will, but they have no concerns that he won't be ready for week 1. I just please, I pray, please be healthy. But anyways, that is my 2024-2025 Seahawks predictions. Let me know in the comments section down below what you're predicting the Seahawks to do this season. What's your record that you think they'll have, your ceiling and your floor for this team? I cannot wait for another season of football to get underway. And remember, if you were not here last year, I will be watching every single Seahawks game that is played for the 2024-2025 season like I did last year, and I will be giving you my thoughts and reaction to those games as I do the Seahawks game recaps this year. But anyways, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and welcome back to football, Seahawks fans. Go Hawks, go, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Have a good day.